Hello, Djordje Romanic here. Welcome to Fundamentals of Weather and Climate playlist. In today's video we are going to talk about the temperature variation for an inland station and coastal station. The concept of temperature variation was introduced in my previous video and we discussed how it depends on altitude. Now we will discuss how it depends on horizontal distance from a big body of water. And here we give example of Seattle, which is a coastal city next to Pacific Ocean, and Spokane, which is only 190 kilometers east of Seattle, but clearly further away from the Pacific Ocean. As you can see, these two stations are at the same latitude, but horizontally displaced. Now, if we present this graph here, where the y-axis is temperature, monthly mean temperature for Seattle, gray line, and Spokane, black line, and here are months. You can see that temperature variation, which is defined as the difference between maximum temperature and minimum temperature, is much bigger in Spokane than in Seattle. Why is that the case? Well, that's because Seattle is close to Pacific Ocean and big bodies of water are very large temperature mediators. We can quantify this. You can see that the average temperature between these two locations is similar. Still, it is a little bit higher in Spokane, but not much, just around 4 degrees Celsius. That's the average temperature calculated as the average of these mean monthly temperatures. But temperature variation, delta T, is profoundly different between these two locations. In Spokane, it's over 25 degrees. So the temperature difference between the warmest month, July, and the coldest month, January, is over 25 degrees. But temperature difference in Seattle between August, which is the warmest month, and January, which is the coldest month, is below 10 degrees Celsius. You can see that record lows are also profoundly different in these two locations. Again, much more profound value, negative value, is found for Spokane because, again, it's further away from the ocean and ocean is big mediator. In terms of maximum temperatures, the difference is not so large. So how do we explain that? Given that these two stations are only 190 kilometers apart, same latitude, it's not like one is North Pole, another one is equator. How do we explain this huge temperature variation difference? The reason is Pacific Ocean. Big bodies of water are big temperature mediators for a number of reasons. Reason number one, water has very high heat capacity. So it takes a lot of solar energy to warm water, and then subsequently water also cools down slowly. And as such, it keeps heat for a long period of time, and that means it mediates local locations so they don't exhibit big temperature variations. Given that this is over 200 that Spokane is 200 kilometers further away from the ocean than Seattle, means that temperature variations are larger. Reason number two is around Spokane there is no big bodies of water, and when solar energy hits the surface, most of it, not all, check my previous videos, but most of it is used to heat the surface. However, when it hits the surface of the water, solar energy can be used to indeed heat water, but it can also be used to evaporate water. So not all energy is used for warming, some energy is used for evaporation. Reason number three, again, that mediates temperature differences throughout day, month, year, and so on. And reason number three is that solar energy can penetrate deeper into ocean. Ocean is transparent. So it is distributed along the deeper layer in the ocean compared to the land, where everything is absorbed at the surface. And the last reason is oceans circulate. So the water is mixing. There are currents that are mixing water, so the temperature is more uniform compared to the land where there is no mixing, and this particular location can be much warmer than the adjacent location and so on due to the absence of mixing. So you can see that these factors together result in profoundly larger temperature variability for inland stations compared to coastal stations. For example, the biggest temperature variabilities are above deserts, because desert sand has very low heat capacity, so it heats up very quickly, but it also cools down very quickly. So during night, temperatures can be exceedingly high, over 30-40 degrees Celsius, but during night they can even go negative. For example, in Tucson, Arizona, temperature variations in a day can be over 50 degrees Celsius. Imagine that. During middle of the day, it's scorching hot, but during middle of the night or before sunrise, it can be extremely, extremely cold. Please make sure to like and subscribe, share this video and comment. It helps a lot channel. And until next video, goodbye.